What is up, Scrub fam? I am back with another video. This is not a deck profile. I've been doing this a lot lately. I know you guys are probably about tired of them. And of course, right now we're getting to a point where the format is not necessarily solved. We're getting to a point where one of the pillars is becoming painstakingly clear about what the format is revolving around. And so at this point, we're about to go into an event which is ARG Boston, which is actually taking place in Worcester, Massachusetts. Before I get started on this Meta Talks, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to my sponsor, Bearded Collectibles. If you are looking to purchase yourself some product, Alec Pastrana is the best shop owner on the planet, has prompt shipping times, great communication, always lets you know if anything is up. He did an amazing job with his staff handling the setbacks they had this past release, communicating with their customers, being incredibly flexible and helping their customers out if needed to, canceling orders if they need to, but in general, just trying to get the orders as quickly as possible. I mean, even though they lost 2 days of shipping, I still got my product on Monday, and I opened all of my boxes. It was amazing. So I had a really great experience with Alec, of course, like I always do in Beard Collectibles. So best sponsor on the planet. Also, next thing is Patreon. So patreon.com/3xgpro. It'll be down in the comment. The description will be down, like in the link will be down in the description, so you can go ahead and check that out. If you want to get registered for it, you can do $1, $4.20 here, $13.37 here. You get access to all the articles that come out on a daily basis, as well as any videos that get posted on the site itself. And then each tier has something a little bit special for you. And so I just did a article today that was a full breakdown of what the archetypes were in the current metagame, if you wanted to look at that, as well as going through step by step the way that Flute Aggro with Hirudegarn works, red blue, and then also going through a sideboard guide. So the 15 cards that you should be looking to play in your sideboard, as well as how you would side in matchups against the major archetypes in the format. So it goes really deep. I got a lot of positive feedback on it so far, but in general, I'm so thankful for the patrons so far. 31 patrons, goal is 50, but anyway, I've rambled like I tend to do when I start talking about stuff. So let's go ahead and get into Meta Talks. So coming up into the format itself, there's a few things that you're going to need to find out, and we're going to go over those general themes throughout the course of this video. But the first thing is we're going to talk about the card that I believe will be the most registered card at ARG Worcester or Boston, and that is Intensifying Power Trunks. So this is the color scheme red that is going to go into the most aggressive decks in the game, and you're going to find that the abuse of this card is going to be something that creates one of the most powerful things you can do in the game, which is accessing chain attack trunks early within the game, as well as just having a really great attacker to dwindle your opponent's life down while gaining card advantage for yourself. So this card is going to be the most registered card. This is a card that you're going to have to think about playing around across the game. This is a card you're going to have to think about defending your life against. This is a card that's going to be fluted back to hand the most, and just the one that's going to generate the most degenerate turns on a consistent basis throughout your games. So this is a card you need to be prepared for. And honestly, I think it's one of the most premier cards in the set, and I think if you're registering a deck list without it, you better be registering a deck list with a plan for it, whether it be full power energy, whether it be Mafuba. Yes, I said Mafuba. Mafuba is a card that is incredibly good right now because it takes the battle card completely out of the equation. The opponent loses it entirely for that entire turn, so they can't flute it back to hand. So that's a key card in this format. You need to have access to Nimbus. You need to be able to do things that defend your life total, because otherwise this card is just going to run away with a lot of games. If you just looked at the aggro decks that played over this past weekend on release weekend, you saw a lot of them just abusing this insane Kaba across the course of the game, putting pressure on the opponent, and then just inevitably closing the game out when you would then tap to evolve into chain attack trunks, put a Zeno down, and then now you have total advantage of your opponent. They've lost so much advantage against you. So this card will be the most registered card. Next, we're going to talk about the most represented leader. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that it's possible that it may not be the most represented leader, but I think if it's not, then it is a mistake, because this leader is so generically good in everything. It's similar to the problem that people think we have with SS3, whereas honestly, I don't think SS3, like I stated, I think he's the fourth best blue leader right now. The first being Hirudegarn, second being U7 Gohan, and Trunks tied, of course, for second and third, and then fourth place being SS3. I think that Hirudegarn just does everything that you want to be doing, whether it be aggressive, mid-range, or control, which is drawing the additional cards, seeing more cards in your deck. You have the ability to combo with them, and no should be able to get see a total of 3 additional cards. So the 2 you draw, and then searching for Hirudegarn the Wanderer. So netting the full clean 2 cards off of your front side without having to play any cards or do anything additionally is pretty insane. So Hrudegarn, the front side is incredible, and then on the Awakened side, once you're at 4 energy, when you swing, auto, you draw a card, your opponent top decks a card. Top decking a card, essentially time walking them for a turn, so if they want to draw, they're going to have to do a leader swing or do something else to get further into their deck so they can go ahead and generate more advantage for themselves. Otherwise, they're just going to be blanking their draw step for the next turn. So oftentimes, this leader generates the best play pattern of chain attack. So essentially what you do is you play your Intensifying Power Trunks, you awaken, untap 2, play your Chain Attack Trunks, play your Zeno, and then now you draw 5 king cards, swing with your leader. Your opponent then has to top deck a card, you draw a card, so you're at 6 to their 4, and then they have to decide if they want to combo or not. If they combo, then now they're going down to 3 cards, so they've lost that advantage entirely. And so that's why Hrudegarn is the best leader for that strategy. Hrudegarn's also good in the Yellow Storm decks. I definitely prefer Trunks in the Yellow Storm decks from my personal experience, and Trunks is also a suitable leader in the other deck that I just talked about, the Flute Aggro deck with Chain Zeno, but I think that Hrudegarn should be the most represented leader. And if it's not, that is a travesty, and people need to get good. Next, biggest surprise to me, Cold Bloodlust leaders will make a resurgence. A lot of people aren't talking about Cold Bloodlust. This is still a card. Minus Killy Zone, I understand it's great sideboard tech. I think the card is awesome. But playing 4 Cold Bloodlust versus you playing your 2 minus Killy Zone out of the board, Bloodlust is going to win that exchange the majority of the time. And plus you have to see your minus Killy Zone, which you're only playing 2 copies. One might be trapped in your life, one might be on the bottom of the deck, it might be hard. Whereas Cold Bloodlust is always going to be played, it's always going to make an impact. There are some decks that run deflect characters, which is mostly swap or any of the big drops, so like 7-drop Goku for red, and then of course the 8-drop in the yellow, and then there's also 12-drop Jiren if anyone ever cast it. But in general, since the game is so compressed now between 1 to 4 turns, or 2 to 3 turns, is the average turn length the way that people are playing the game right now, that a Cold Bloodlust on a key card or key action is incredibly important. Whether it be your opponent trying to do that Chain Zeno combo to be able to stop your momentum, or be able to reduce the amount of cards in your hand, or if it's just playing their 1-drop, Bardock, if they play that on turn 1, and then you just Bloodlust it, then they can't swap it back to hand, they can't take a life, they completely lose on that exchange, and then now the Bardock just sits there until the next turn. So it's card disadvantage for them. So they charge their energy -1, play the Bardock -2, you Bloodlusted, and then you're good to go. What's great about this too is I think that it's going to cause Mecha Frieza to see a resurgence, of course, in play. But of course, Pat O'Neill also posted a Galactic Emperor Frieza list that the two of us worked on a bit. And again, it just follows that principle of playing Cold Bloodlust, and just having access to it is always great. It's never bad, ever. So, biggest surprise, I think you're going to see a lot of Cold Bloodlust leaders, and honestly, rightfully so. The card is still incredibly powerful, especially, like I said, in compressed formats, which right now this is a compressed format. So, this is a card you should consider playing in your deck, and if you're not considering playing it, you're probably playing Hrudegarn. Next. Free blockers and negates are so hot right now. That is the hot tech. So free blockers and negates. Flying Nimbus, whether if it's playing 4 main deck or it's playing 3 in the main deck, 1 in the board. And then free blockers, if your leader is Trunks. Honestly, this is probably the thing that makes Trunks better than a lot of leaders, is the fact that he just has access to the free blocker with no other caveats. I mean, this also makes U7 Gohan good because it has access to Videl, but free blockers are a thing. They can't be removed by a Mysterious Warrior Mass Saiyan. They can only be removed on a 1-for-1 basis. Your opponent's not going to be able to clear the board unless you're playing something like Kale, but honestly, casting a Kale is really hard right now in this format, so and the free blockers are going to stick around. And you're going to see a lot of decks that are revolving around these free blockers as their defensive measure, of course, with combined with extra negates. So that's the thing. You could still see Trunks decks rising to the top of the field because they do have access to Mai. So even if they are tapped out on a turn, they can put 3 Mai's down and they're good to go. Also, what a lot of people fail to forget is that a free attacker, it's basically can also be a free attacker. Yeah, I know it's only 5, but there's games where I've exhausted my opponent's hand and their resources, and I still have unyieldings and further instruction champas and stuff I can go off with. So I'll play the Mai for free, swing, and just steal the game that way, in a way that they didn't even think was coming. So free blockers are a thing. And then negates. Like I said, you're going to be seeing main deck Nimbus, main deck Full Power Energy. You're going to be seeing main deck Whis Coercion. You're going to see Whis Coercions coming out of the sideboard. You're going to see Mufubas coming out of the sideboard. You're going to see negates a lot in this format because people have to find a way to slow the game down, especially in games 2 and 3, and especially if you're on the draw. If you're on the draw, like I said, I did the breakdown today for the red blue flute aggro deck. When I break down how you're going to be sideboarding a lot in these matchups, when you're on the draw, a lot of it's going to be fixated on how are you going to stay alive, because essentially you need to stay alive, you need to maintain your life advantage, and you need to stop your opponent from being able to gain an advantage over you. So if your opponent's life total is lower than yours is, and you have reached your third and fourth turn, you're more than likely going to win that game because of that extra life buffer that you've gained, whereas your opponent doesn't have it. So your opponent is now on the back foot if they're on the play. And then if you're on the play, you're going to be switching strategies. If you're on the play, you want to be doing everything faster. Yeah, you want to add a layer of defense if there's ever an instance where you're caught off guard, there's nothing you can do, or you have a poor draw. But in general, you want to be the aggressor on the play. You want to be the person that's doing everything first if you're on the play. But if you're on the draw, you want to be preserving your life total. So free blockers and negates are the hotness right now. Next, things you'll learn. The format revolves around Chain Attack Zeno right now. So until Scrambling Sun Goten is a card that is played frequently in high numbers after August 1st when the BCC promo comes out and the blue-yellow Storm decks come into the actual format. So right now we know they exist. Like we've seen Trangsu Storm. And that deck is a real deck. That is a real threat to this format. That is something that can outpace the Chain Attack Zeno decks because of the fact they can do it so quickly. Like you can go off on the first 2 to 3 turns of the game guaranteed because your deck is so consistent, versus the red-blue versions of the deck. They're kind of clunky. The energy's off sometimes. They draw too much blue. They draw too much red. They can't access their Sensu Beans. Like, there's not a lot that they can do against you, and they're not going to have the negates in game one. So right now, we're living in a world where Chain Zeno is king because, again, like I spoke earlier about intensifying power trunks and about these decks, is they're going to gain an advantage through attacking you, forcing you to take cards, forcing you to flip, and then they're going to deploy a Chain Zeno to be able to then close out the game with their leader. And that's why Hirudegarn plus Chain Zeno is insane. That is probably going to be the most common deck played, and I don't fault you for it. I think that is a great choice if you're looking to do really well in this event. But again, Chain Zeno is the key to the format. If you want to build a deck right now, I need everyone to just really think about this. You want to build a deck right now. Okay, so even me, right? Blue-green Hirudegarn. I love that deck. That deck is so much fun. The deck does great against early aggro, like a phenomenal job, but you know what it loses to? It loses to a Chain Zeno, because all my deck is just these barrier enchantments that sit on the floor, whether it be Ani Laza, whether it be the Kami's Power Piccolo to be able to pick things off. But Chain Zeno doesn't care about barrier. Chain Zeno scoops all that up. We reset the game. I'm at 5 cards. They're at 5 cards. They have action parity because they haven't swung with their leader yet. They then swing. I top deck a card. They draw a card. Now it's 6-4. It's that math equation that we did earlier. You can obviously see he's going to be losing in the math exchange, and that'll be you if you're on the deciding into that. So think about that as you're moving forward, is like what decks are currently viable, with Chain Zeno being the key piece of the format. This is one of the pillars. This is solidified. This is going to be 100% in the metagame, as something you have to play around. And it's been here for a few sets now. Chain Zeno has been in interaction since set 3, and it's something that we've had to take into account. We've had to play with since set 3 released, but now it's even more exaggerated. It's even stronger, and it's something that is oppressive. So be prepared. Know how to play against it. Make sure you're playtesting those matchups, and you can either beat them or you can join them. So I'm recommending something kind of in the middle. So what I'm recommending you play this weekend, or I'm recommending you consider play this weekend, because it's not necessarily a choice. I'm recommending that you play an archetype that I listed in, of course, the article on the Patreon. Counter Zeno, United States of Smash. Pat O'Neill, I love you. This beautiful picture of United States of Smash. I don't know if you guys have watched My Hero Academia, but you need to watch it. So anyway, I'd play Counter Zeno. So I would play a list similar to what Pat and I worked on with his Galactic Emperor Freeze, the one he did on his channel. He did a great job coming up with the theory of that deck, and then we just, worked Brutalist, and then he tweaked it, got it exactly to where it needed to be perfect. Not necessarily perfect, but just really strong. And so Pat made a great deck. The Emperor Freeze deck is something you could consider playing. But in general, I like the idea of playing a red-based deck with yellow extra cards. I like playing Bloodlust. I like playing Flying Nimbus. And I also like playing off-color extra cards. Wink. Wink, can you see that? So consider playing Mecha Chain Zeno. Consider playing Galactic Frieza, the deck that Pat posted, which that deck is insane. Like, there's a lot of really strong decks right now. Cronoa is a game 2 card. It's not a game 1 card. So what you can do is main deck, you split. You do 2 Shigesh, 2 Dodoria, and then the next game, you side in additional copies of Unbreakable Son Goku, and then now you're good. You don't have to really worry about it. But what I'd recommend is I would play counters in counter Zeno this weekend. If that's what I was going to be going to Worcester, I'm not. I'm going to a team event down in Orlando at the Bearded Collectible Shop, which is going to be a lot of fun. But anyways, this has been the first Meta Talks where we talked about ARG Worcester, ARG Boston, presented by, of course, Jim McMahon and ARG. Those guys always do a great job. You guys are going to have a wonderful time at the event. My elbow just slipped off the chair. That's pretty awkward. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, those Meta Talks. Hopefully it wasn't too long-winded. If you guys enjoy videos like this, go ahead and post it down in the comments. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. Give me a comment down below and let me know if you have any feedback about it, or if you think this is right, or you think this is wrong, you think this is stupid. That's fine. I'm more than willing to accept feedback. But again, like I said, if you want more content like this, there is a bunch of it on the Patreon when it comes to articles that are being written, as well as videos that are going to be coming up as well that are going to be from the YouTube channel. So anyway, thank you guys so much for everything you do. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to Alec Pastrana and Bearded Collectibles. And thank you, Dragon Ball Super Community. Okay, bye!